Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Walker, Senior Vice President of Public Policy for the Overland Park Chamber. With me today is Jim Kite, a candidate for Overland Park City Council, Ward 3. Today we're going to spend some time getting to know Jim and learn about his candidacy and his priorities if he's elected to the council. Jim, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Kevin, thanks a bunch. And I am indeed Jim Kite, and I have been your Ward 3 councilman for 8 years. I've invested a great deal of time and energy in this city during that period of time, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished over the last few years. We are recognized nationally as one of the best places to live, one of the best places to raise a family, one of the best places to start a business. In fact, recently we were noted as being one of the happiest cities. And we've managed to accomplish all this. At the same time, we have the absolute lowest tax rate of any city in the state of Kansas, which is quite a hat trick when you think about it. In addition to that, we're also fiscally the strongest city. We're the only city in this area that has a AAA bond rating by all 3 rating agencies. So we're able to keep taxes low, keep our expenses low because we can borrow at a lower rate because we're fiscally so strong, and we provide a standard of living that's really, as far as the city amenities and the lifestyle we have, that's really unmatched in this region. So I would say doing a lot more with less is quite a feat, and I'm quite proud of that.
Good. How about we transition to a few questions? A recent poll released by the Kansas City Area Home Builders and the Overland Park Chamber Foundation found that 75% of the respondents believe the city is going in the right direction. What's your reaction to this, and do you agree or disagree?
Absolutely, I agree. This city is, as I said in my opening statement, we're the envy of this part of the country. We do have a great standard of living. We have everything moving in the right direction. So we are a place to be envied by the other cities, and we are going in the right direction. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have challenges, and we can't be static. We're part of a state, it's part of a country, it's part of a world. There's all sorts of things, what we've experienced of late with COVID and the terrible storms a few years ago that our weather pattern. So there's always going to be a challenge, but we are going in the right direction, and we have the right tools to go where we want to go.
Well, and you've mentioned challenges, and that leads me to our next question is, what do you believe are the greatest challenges the city faces over the next 10 years, and how would you address them?
Well, a number. One is to maintain our momentum. I mean, when you're on top, what you can't do is take a nap. We have to maintain the environment we have, our business community, how well it works with the city fathers, and how well we fit in with the school districts and everything else in Johnson County. We are certainly going to be challenged, as we said a few minutes ago, with changing circumstances, but we are going in the right direction, and I'm proud of that.
Okay. And how would you specifically engage with business leaders to make Overland Park prosper?
Well, the model we have right now, we have a great Chamber of Commerce. Kevin, you're part of that. The Chamber, the EDC, that's part of what makes this work. I mean, we have a business community here that is behind city government, and a city government that works with the business community. And that sounds like we're all about business and not about people. But when you're about a good economy, that affects everyone. And that's why we have such a standard of living here. So we indeed have a good model for going forward.
Overland Park rates highly in countless community assessments, yet competition with other communities for jobs and quality employers is fierce. What tools would you employ as a council member to ensure Overland Park remains competitive in economic development?
Well, we have been aggressively going after economic development since the recession in 2008, 2010. We've employed a number of tools. One is just what we said a few minutes ago. We work hand in glove with this Chamber of Commerce, where I am right now, with the EDC and with the educational community. We have created an environment that attracts businesses. There are a number of companies that when they come to this region, they only look at one city, and that's this city. So I would think that the tools we're using now, including sometimes public-private partnerships, like we've done to create downtown Overland Park, that didn't happen as an accident. Downtown Overland Park was due to good planning and then good execution with the business community to attract the kind of developers that would make that, what was a failing part of the city, now an attraction, a magnet for the whole county. So I think that's going to be our path forward.
As you are aware, the current city manager has announced his retirement. What qualities and characteristics do you want to see in the next city manager?
Kevin, that's easy. That's one word answer: leadership. The quality leadership that Bill Ebel has provided has been another reason that this city excels. You may not know everything. Quite frankly, he knew a lot. I could always call on Bill to answer questions anywhere in his organization. And if you didn't know, he knew exactly who to go to. But beyond that, you got to be a leader. I think you know, Kevin, that Bill's a West Pointer and was a colonel in the Army. And that doesn't automatically make you a leader, but that is a good laboratory to learn those skills. And so I think, quite frankly, I'm going to make Bill Ebel the benchmark for how we get that next city manager. And he will have big shoes to fill, obviously.
How will you balance the priorities within your ward with those as a city as a whole?
That's simple. It's really the same priorities. And former council member Terry Goodman, God rest his soul, who passed away earlier this year. When I was a young councilman, well, I wasn't ever young when I was a councilman. When I was a new councilman 7 years ago, he mentored me and said, you know, you're elected by the people that live in the third ward, those 32,000 or however many it is, but you serve all now 200,000. And so you have to have that kind of global look. You can't go in just to try to get things for your area, and with these trade-offs like some of the big eastern cities where you get a train station and I get a new highway or whatever. You serve the entire community. Just that footprint is where your electorate is.
Now a question about housing. According to the Johnson County Community Housing Study, Overland Park needs approximately 4,600 owner-occupied housing units at or below $250,000 and approximately 2,700 rental units with monthly rent at or below $1,000 to satisfy attainable housing needs by 2030. What's your reaction to this finding, and what specific proposals would you bring to the table to support attainable housing goals?
Wow, Kevin, that's probably the hardest question so far. You're right. You know, the premise here is that are we doing this? I think a lot of folks don't realize that the lowest price new construction in Overland Park right now is about $650,000. Some of the new apartments that have come online are $1,500 or $2,000 a month. We all like to see our property go up in value. At the same time, we don't want to see the taxes that may be associated with that. Or we don't want to have any kind of subsidy for housing, possibly in some areas. I don't have a ready answer. I mean, I tell you what we've been doing. We've tried some innovative approaches in the northern part of the city in redevelopment in terms of smaller lot price development, different theories in terms of multifamily, such that we can get more out of our land use in the northern part of the city. Our rental licensing program means that the less expensive stock we have is a more decent place to live. I mean, you can always create more affordable housing by letting neighborhoods slide into disrepair and decay. That's what we're seeing in other cities adjacent to us. With the same time, we want to make sure that our housing stock stays livable and pleasant, and we can do what we can to make sure that it's affordable. It's going to be a challenge, and unfortunately, I think that we're going to have to work with the county and the neighboring cities to find solutions there. It's something we're not going to be able to address in isolation.
What elements of Vision Metcalf and Forward OP do you believe are the most important for the future of Overland Park?
Let's start with Forward OP. One of the things that bubbled at the top immediately was a welcoming place. We just had a driveway party in our driveway. Met some of the new neighbors from around the corner. I think it's incumbent on all of us to be welcoming. At the same time, create institutions that do embrace folks that may be different from you. And so we have in Fort OP a number of initiatives in order to be a welcoming place. We also wanted to be a place that was, let's just say, a little greener. That we have different forms of transportation, a place that's more walkable and rideable, mixed-use development, so that we're not just another suburb that's sprawling to the south in our case, racing toward Lewisburg, anyway, Paola and other cities south of us. We've managed to, using some federal money that we've gotten, we've added bike lanes and other things that create that walkable, rideable environment. And I think that that is certainly behooving our reputation, if you will, for being that kind of community. Now, the other half of your question was in regard to Vision Metcalf. And Vision Metcalf, while some say, well, we haven't lived up to what we thought we would from when it was approved 12, 14 years ago, because it's not a 6-lane European-looking boulevard with glass towers down both sides. But look at what's happened in my short tenure, and I can't take the credit. I'm just one guy, and a lot of this happened or started before I ever got elected. But look what's happened between 435 and downtown Overland Park in the last 6 to 7 years. Right in the middle of that stretch, we had a failed mall that had been empty since my kids were in elementary school. That's changed. With Ryan Transportation, that whole office complex there at the lake at 95th. Downtown Overland Park we already spoke about. We got rid of old hotels at about 107th and then at Shawnee Mission Parkway that were both the seeds of crime. And so using incentives and working with developers, that property got scraped and we have new facilities there. So Vision Metcalf has been the shot in the arm that the northern half of Overland Park has needed for 10 to 20 years, and I'm terribly, terribly proud of that.
My last question for you today is, since its founding in 1960, Overland Park leaders have had a long history of visionary planning. What do you believe the city should do today to ensure the city's prosperity for the next 60 years?
Remember the logo said all this was by design. This is a design community. I mean, we're sitting here in the Chamber of Commerce at Corporate Woods, which this city has been a planned community from the get-go. It's been a partnership, a very close partnership between the private and public sectors. And you don't really want to change partners too much in the middle of a given event. This is what brought us here. We need to continue to attract business and to plan out our future. And it may be a different future than some people are used to. We're not a 1990s suburb anymore. And we've done some things that were innovative. The road diet on College near the convention center. The whole notion of a tighter community with more walkable and rideable places, not as reliant on automobile transportation. So we will be changing the face of Overland Park, not to a great degree, not to make it unpleasant, but to help it or help us bend to maybe the realities of the future of what cities should be like. But the city and the business community are going to work together to get us there.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you spending some time with us today. Before we close, I'd like to give you a couple minutes to provide any final thoughts if you'd like.
Well, I thank my wife for being here and for all she's done for me for 8 years in supporting me. We've called her the City of Overland Park's lowest paid employee, and she's spent a lot of nights as I'm chairman of Public Works going and looking at streets that have just been resurfaced and down on our hands and knees rubbing the street in the middle of the night and talking about it with the quality of it. So thank you, Wendy, for being part of this. So to close, I would say, not just for me, but for the entire existing council, everyone that's involved with the city realizes this is a special place. And if you don't remember anything else I've said, remember this: that's not by accident. We didn't get where we are just because it happens to be the right place at the right time. This city was put where it is at the pinnacle of this kind of community by design and by cooperation and by careful planning. So Kevin, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Well, thank you. And let me remind everyone that advance voting by mail begins on Wednesday, October 13th. Advance voting in person begins on Saturday, October 23rd. And of course, Election Day is Tuesday, November 2nd.